Hey, Coach, I hope you're enjoying that. If you are, awesome. Make sure you go subscribe, hit that subscribe button right now. And then also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Mentor, resources, hundreds of videos. Go over and check it out. Let's head off to the video.
All right, welcome to Coach Unplugged. Coach, we'll try not, I was talking to a coach from Ireland. You'll have to listen to it. Okay. And he broke the record, so we will not go 2+ hours tonight. Okay. That's how long him and I went. But I'm going to have you introduce yourself. What I have people do is kind of introduce themselves. So Sean will do that. He'll introduce himself. And then I want you to give like a bio, kind of your synopsis of your coaching career. And then we'll jump into some of the practice planning and some of that other stuff. So let the audience know where you are. I picked up on the Boston accent when we were doing the pre-interview here, but you explain where you came from, kind of where you are now and all that for the audience.
Well, first of all, thanks for, having me on, Steve. I just love, talking basketball, and, my name's Sean Doherty, and I was born and raised in Worcester, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. And I kind of grew up there till I was like 31 years old. And I was lucky enough to play Division III basketball at Worcester State College, Division III school in the MASCAC conference. And I was a point guard there. And then I went on and started my coaching career actually there with the head coach, Tom Moore, who's now at UConn. And then I left Worcester State and ended up going to Assumption College, Division II school in Worcester, Massachusetts. And it was great. I was at Assumption College in the NE10, which is one of the best conferences in the country for Division II. And I was there for 4 years and had, got my master's degree in education from there. And then I applied for a job at Holy Cross College. A guy named Ralph Willey got the job at Holy Cross. And Ralph used to be with Rick Pitino, and I was up, Jim Boeheim, and he coached Pittsburgh. So I applied and I got the job, and I was like the third assistant at Holy Cross. And every year I was there, one of the other assistants left, and I kind of became Ralph's associate head coach after 3 years. And it was great. We won three championships there at Holy Cross and played Kansas, Kentucky, and Marquette in the NCAA tournaments. So it was a great experience. And then I went down to Western Kentucky, and I went with Darren Horn, who was coach of South Carolina for a while.
Yep.
He was assistant at Marquette. He got the job, Darren. So I was with Darren for a while there, and then I decided to take a head Division III job. So I was with Darren for about less than a year, and a Division III job opened up in the MASCAC at Salem State College, where I played as a player. I played in that Worcester State Conference. So I decided to come back home, come back to Boston. Salem, Mass is right outside of Boston. The Salem Witches there, that's the big thing. And I came back and I was a head Division III coach. And I was a Division III coach for 4 years. And I loved being I was my own boss, and it was the first time I ever became the head coach. And we won 4 championships there, and I had great, success there. That's for sure. Like, over 100 wins. And it was just fun. And then my old college coach ended up getting a job at Quinnipiac University. And he called me up and he's like, "Hey, I want you to come." So
where's that one? I followed everything up to this point.
Yeah, Quinnipiac is a Division I school in the MASCAC, in the MAC, and it's in Hamden, Connecticut, right beside Yale University, about 10 miles away from Yale.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, when I was recruiting for them, that was the same exact. When I go out to Wisconsin or I go out to anywhere, they'd be like, "Quinna what? Quinna who?"
It almost sounds like, to be honest with you, almost sounds like a Canadian, like Winnipeg or Win. It's like almost sounds like Canadian. Yeah. Okay.
They're really well known for hockey right now. They've gone to the Final Four, Division I in hockey. And in basketball, when we were there, we started off in the NEC, which is like Sacred Heart, Central Connecticut, Robert Morris, LIU.
Yep.
That was the league. And then we ended up going into the MAC conference, which has Siena, Iona, Manhattan, which is a much bigger conference.
Right.
So, it was a little bit tougher. And then what happened was the new AD came in after 10 years, got rid of us. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of a decision making. It was the first time in my life I've ever been let go.
Right.
And, now I'm like, in my 40s, and I'm like, mid 40s.
Oh, crap.
Like,
it's like,
what do you do?
Right.
And, the old assistant who was with me, at the time is this head coach at Indiana, Archie Miller. Another guy was an assistant with me, was at Iowa State, William Small, when he was at Western.
Okay. He's
like,
dropping some names here, like holy
no, but
crap.
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm
no,
thinking,
that's serious though. They're legit. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was,
Yeah.
you know, I was in the same office
Yeah.
as Archie. Me and Archie shared an office together, and
Right.
you know, William was right down
Yeah.
the hall with me. We were on the same staff.
Right.
So I was like, do I move my whole family across the country to one of those schools and try and jump on with one of them, or do I? You know, my son's high school, my son was a freshman in high school, and
Okay.
the job opened up there at Hamden Hall. It's a small prep school right here in Hamden, where I was coaching for the last 10 years. I was Division I coach at Hamden, Quinnipiac. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I coach my son for the next couple of years? So instead of jumping back into Division I across the country and moving my family again, I decided, let's coach my son. And I've had a great experience. And this is going into my 4th year now. Yeah, I've been with him since freshman year. So I've had 3 years now with him at Hamden Hall. It's a small prep school in the NEPSAC.
And who does that prep school play?
We play like Marionopolis, St. Luke's, St. Thomas More.
Okay.
You know, Middlebury.
Yep.
You know, like there's a bunch of like small.
And do you do PG or you do?
We don't. It's only high school, but we do reclassification kids. So a lot of kids come to me and want to do their junior year over and leaving a regular public school. They come and they say, hey, I'd like to go there and do a reclass year.
Okay.
And so, you know, there's some good and some bad with that. Some people suggest them to go and stay until you graduate, then go to year prep school. Other kids want to reclass when they're freshmen or sophomore.
Well, my son's trying to figure out if he needs the gap year too.
Yeah.
Who knows? Like,
it really is different for every kid, I think.
It is. I think it really is. So a couple things. Okay. So first of all, what was it like to play Division III and coach Division III? So that's the first question I have for you.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, playing Division III, I was a point guard. And you know, it's funny because when I was in high school, basketball was everything to me. And you know, like it was like, and I was like practicing all summer long from 8 in the morning until the lights went out at the park at 11 o'clock at night. And then when I got to college, I thought I could kind of drift and just, you know, I got into the whole, like, you know, I'm a college basketball player, started meeting girls, going out. And so I didn't focus as much as I wish I did on my college preparation. You know, now that I've been a coach for all these, I realized what I did wrong when I was a player. So I was kind of like a backup, you know, point guard for all those years. And it was fun playing, and we had some great experiences, and I love my teammates. But I don't think I ever got the best of what I could have been.
And I played D3 too. There's a love for the game you get at D3.
Oh yeah.
There's no glory.
No.
I played in my high school gym filled more than I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
So, because I went to a big high school, it's like we'd have put 2,000-3,000 in, and then I'd go to college, it'd be like we get 400. You know,
without a doubt, I was the same thing. I was just,
you play. There's a difference. There's a love of the game. So Holy Cross Patriot League, great league. It's like a mini Ivy. Like, you know, you have obviously the NASDAQ where my son's going, but then you've got that one, which is a really good league. I think it's the Patriot League's under.
We were, you know, we came into that league when I got there. They did a book. John Feinstein did a book. And
I've read that book. It's a great book. Yeah.
And it's funny, if you ever go into the acknowledgments at the very end, I'm in there and it says, you know, acknowledgement, it says, and Sean Doherty in, yes, you too, Sean. You know what I mean? Because he used to always make fun of me. Like I would, hey, you got to put me in the book. You got to put me in the book.
Yeah. It's funny. It's I mean, his son was looking at it for just school. Wasn't I go there, I won't eat. It's like a Colgate and some of those schools. Unbelievable. You got to be a student. Like you don't go to those schools unless you're a student.
I'll tell you, I can tell you some stories about some of the recruits we brought in for the academics and bringing them down to the admissions department. It was hysterical. I'll give you a good one. We brought this one kid from New York in, and I was like, all right, listen, we're going down to the admissions interview right now. Like, you got to be on point here. The admissions lady's no joke. She's going to ask you questions. Like, you know, make sure you understand. I told him all this stuff. And she said, you know, this is the true story. Kid came out. I said, how'd it go? He goes, all right, I thought you go. So I asked him, Michigan, I go, what do you think? She goes, well, Sean, not too good. He goes, I asked him what the last book he read. And he said, I don't read books. I was
Oh
like,
my God. Oh my God.
I'm like, at Holy Cross. I'm like, well, we could take him off the old recruiting list.
I'll tell you Holy Cross, because that was on my son's list. I can tell you, they wanted, for the financial aid stuff I needed to fill out, they wanted literally to know what my great ancestors made.
Oh.
And where is that third nickel that you said you had?
Oh, they
swear to God. It was more in my son, I think it was like, by the time it was done, like 18 schools. There were little Ivies, the Patriot League. It wasn't. They're in a different class for what they asked for. It was like, are you kidding? What do you want? Like, you want my firstborn child? Like, they were asking for more things than any human being should ever want. I could see how people would give up. Like, I'm not doing this. You're not going.
It was hard to get in. We had to be real specific with the type of recruit we went after. We used to pre-qualified kids. Ralph was a stickler on making sure that we went to Jesuit schools and we pre-qualified kids and made sure that they had the SATs and the transcript prior to coming in. And there was a lot of background checking.
The only thing I've thought about is like coaching in the NASDAQ, coaching in the Patriot, coaching the Ivy, is you basically, here's your pool. Like, you can see a kid in Indiana on a July day and you go, I can't even look at that kid. Like, your pool is this 10%, maybe 5%, 10.5 that I can even look at these kids. Like, so I think that in some respects, you're probably all fighting for the same kids.
That's exactly what it was. We were fighting against the Dartmouth and all the time, and against the Patriot League and other schools and the NEPSAC schools. So it was tough.
Right. And then what the problem is, the NESDECs are trying to grab one of yours that you can give a scholarship. They're trying to grab them because they can't give a scholarship. It's like this whole
grab the one above it, the Ivy,
Yeah, and you guys are trying to get the Ivy, and then the Ivies are trying to grab a Duke kid or or like a Stanford. It's like, oh, I know. But it's interesting, I think, in the sense that if you're at Michigan or Michigan State, you basically have the pool of the world. Like,
oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. It
was also great because you got to coach kids who really got it. You know what I mean? And I loved, that was my 4 years of kind of like really becoming a coach, because first of all, Ralph Willie was phenomenal.
Right.
He was a stickler for the little things, and he was maniacal on, he was a Rick Pitino disciple. You know what I mean? Like, and he kind of like almost taught Rick some of the stuff. So like he was, we had early morning, all the things you can imagine. We had early morning individuals at, 6 a.m. and, you had to be there for 5:30 dressed and ready. And, we went through a hard workout, and then, late night study hall, just you name it, we did it. Film and breakdown effort stats. The effort stats were phenomenal, like breaking down a kid's tape and showing it to them. It's stuff I learned.
The one thing the Patriot doesn't have that the Ivy, and I've talked to Dave about this, the Ivy is like, the kid we were talking about, Chris, he was going to do a Sex Fifth Avenue. I don't know what's happening now. This summer, he was doing an internship. There was nothing going on this summer. They shut them down.
That hurt.
Like, there's no individual No. So the Patriot League probably isn't quite like that.
Yeah. No, I think the connection is a little bit bigger. When you're an Ivy League kid, you're a little bit different. But I'll tell you, those Patriot League schools, like the Holy Cross guys, they stick together. If you're a Holy Cross alum, there's alums out there that'll give you jobs, and they want to hire Holy Cross guys.
I told my son, I said, the school, you could have gone to a lot of schools, but he's going to Middlebury. I said, the problem, you're once you get through there, you're a Middlebury kid.
Exactly.
So all of a sudden now, other Middlebury people will know you. Like,
exactly. And that's where you're going to get your job down the road. It'll be someone that'll hire him because of that.
Yep. It's the advice I give all my senior athletes. As I said, when you go to college, every day meet a new person, connect with somebody, because you don't ever know which one is going to open that door up. And you some of your best friends will be that one person in that one class that you just connected with. You never know. All right, so let's jump into practice stuff, Coach. I'd love to talk about that. So let's have you share the screen here, and we'll jump into practice. Let's do that. Let's do the first one that you were talking about, that PowerPoint. Let's just go through real quick, kind of your summary of practice. Then maybe we can talk about practice.
Yep. All right. Let me. You want the summary of the? You want the summary?
Yeah, let's do that one first.
All right. I showed this a couple times out to some people, and I think it's important. You just got to have a plan of like when you're running your practice planning.
Yep.
I think there's important things to have, and I think you got, like, first of all, you got to be really organized. I think you got to meet with your staff and go over, you know, your plans each day. And if you don't have a staff, just make sure you have a plan.
And how much time do you spend on a practice plan?
And I probably, you know, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years now. So I probably spend a half an hour. You know what I mean? When I was younger, I probably spent a little bit. When I was first doing my first job at Salem State there, I probably did.
Hey, Coach, hope you're liking the video. If you are, subscribe down below. That would be awesome. That will help us get noticed all over the web. Also, make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell up above. You get a notification when we put a new video up every day. That's good. Also, make sure you go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.
An hour and a half, but you know, I send it to my coaches after because they're all teachers. So I send it to them and they look it over, give me a couple things. I go back, edit it and say, oh yeah, I should have added that in. Good point. So I think that's important to do. I think you have to have that. I think it has to be right. And then I show it to the players. Like when I get there, I post it so they see it, what's going to go on today. So I put it up in the locker room when we get there so they can see what that kind of like the practice is.
And is there a specific time that you do it? Like, especially now being a high school coach, do you?
Yeah. We usually have practices like our kids go to school until 2:50 and then they take a bus over to we have like a $10 million practice facility. It's really nice. 3 courts, beautiful. It's a Beckerman Center. Dave Beckerman, who started the Starter Corporation of the basket, you know, the jacket starter.
Yep.
He had a lot of money. He used to be the coach here for 20 years. And he built this facility called the Beckerman Center. So the kids leave the school like 2:50 and they come over to the Beckerman Center. And then I do study hall from 3 to 4. And I just have them stay in a room and, you know, like, you know, kind of like the lunchroom there, and they just you know, do some study hall. But then that's where I show the practice plan to have it up, and then we go on the court every day from 4 to 6. So 4 to 6 that time, and that gives the time for the teachers who teach, my coach assistants, to get there and kind of like
that's the hard part. I know. And then do you do your practice plan for the next day that night, or do you wait till the
No, I kind of do it the next morning and you know, talk about it. Then I send it to them an email and they email me back, or sometimes I'll do it at night. Depends on how it really goes.
I used to do it at night, but I like to dwell on it. I think I dream about it, to be honest with you. I mean, because it's like, oh, that didn't go well. And do you tape your practices?
I started doing that, but then I realized, to be honest with you, I'm the only one watching them and like going over it. And I'm like, because it used to be like in college, like, you know, we have the other assistants, the kids, the players, and the high school levels. Like,
it's me.
I'm like,
it's the exact same, coach.
And I'm like, and to get managers to help out and to do it like that, I'd rather have the manager running the clock than running the film up top. And, you know, so it's kind of like I got away from it. I did start doing that, but you know, you
got to get one of the automatic recorder things like VO.
Yeah, I know. Those are expensive.
They are expensive.
That.
Yeah, and they just.
Do that?
I do. We just got one about a year or two ago, and it's really nice. It's like, and the thing is, what I'll do is I won't watch the whole practice, but it's like I'll be home, I'll eat dinner, and then I'll start thinking about like, oh crud, we didn't do that very well. So I'll go back and watch that drill. It will be me, and you're right. It's 97% probably me and one of my assistants, but I just like it from that standpoint. Or, oh wow, we did really well. Remember that one thing we were working on? Let's go back and look at that. What was that doing? That's where it's nice to have it. It's not like I'm throwing the ball or kicking anything at them. There's nothing on there that's going to get me in trouble.
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I have all my practices open to my parents. I encourage every parent to come to every practice.
And where do your kids tend to be local?
Yeah, they're all within a half an hour distance because it's a day school only. They don't have no.
Okay.
You know, so it's all, you know, there's no overnight kids, so it's all commuting. So
it's all
parents coming to pick them up. And I just always thought, like, a parent's there, like, why are they sitting in the car waiting? I said, please just come in and watch the last half an hour. If I want to watch my kid play ball for a little while. So I have my kids' parents come in all the time and sit in stands. I just tell them, make sure they don't go crazy, you know, and be loud. You know?
Don't yell at them. Yeah.
Okay,
let's keep going.
Then I talk about like making sure my staff all have a firm understanding of the plays and the drills that we're going to cover. I think that's important. Like a lot of times I shouldn't be the only one who knows what the drill is about. So that's why I send it to the coaches early and say, hey, if you don't know the drill, let me know and we'll go over it.
Right.
I don't want, when you come in early, like we'll talk about it during study hall so you kind of understand. Because I might like have to do something, they have to run it. I don't want to be embarrassed by, my staff not knowing.
Right.
And it shows that everybody's on the same page.
Yep.
I think that's important.
Okay.
I think the warm-ups are important. Like nowadays, the kids, back in our day, used to be right over left,
right.
I'm across. All right, let's go, play ball.
Right.
Today, I think you got to give the kids a little bit more dynamic warm-up. They used to like some plyometrics, some having a routine. And that's one thing we did when I was at the end of my years at Quinnipiac. We had the Navy SEALs come in and do a SEAL training program.
Oh, my gosh.
And it was a 3-day program. And I'll tell you, it was unbelievable accountability and leadership. And if anybody could have a chance to have a part of that or watch that on film or whatever, you really should. Because if you're a coach, they just talk about leadership and the dynamics of it. And one of their big things was the warm up and how they have one leader and he would, he'd say, all right, knees to chest, to half court and back, ready. And then the whole group in a line would have to say ready. And then he'd say attack. And then they say attack. And it looked just so good. They were all on the same page. The leader stepped up, told them what the drill was. They all went out and they went to half court and they came back. And then the leader get up and he say, all right, next one, butt kicks. Ready? And they all yell, ready. And if you as a coach, you got to, if the one kid wasn't saying ready, you went down there and you ripped into him because you got to be part of the, the group.
Right.
You're following the leader. And, I was all about that. And I'll tell you, like, the kids loved it. As I said, like they did this 8-minute dynamic warm-ups, like play, all the different ones. And it was great. I think the kids really enjoyed it. So I think that's important. And I said, I think, running the clock is important. If you have a clock in your gym, you should have that and keep the drills short. Like too many coaches, I go watch a lot of practices and they'll be like, all right, 9 minutes of this. And the kids are like, after minute 2, they're like, done.
No. So here's what I tell people when I go out and talk too. It's like, we live in a Snapchat world, people. TikToks, the longest a TikTok is a minute and most of them are 15 seconds. So if you think you're keeping their attention for 9 to 10 minutes, you're not.
That's all that UB Brown practice stuff.
Yeah.
I love watching. I watched UB Brown a couple times. Anybody get a chance to watch UB Brown on talking about practice? He is phenomenal. Like I'm talking like off the charts. Like he says, make sure you come in with a cue card. Make sure every drill is 3 to 5 minutes. He's right. He's right on point.
I love that. I do. Hubie's got some great stuff. I agree.
Oh my God, he's like, man, talking about a genius of basketball back in the day. And then, obviously I think you have your practices start early, like longer early in the year and then taper them down to make sure to taper it down.
Yeah.
And then,
you're down to an hour 15 and is that total an hour 15?
At the very
end, film?
That is when they came in and, at the end of my practice, late February, like, cause I hate to say it, but I'd only play like probably 8-9 guys. I didn't want to get them hurt. So I thought an hour and 15 minutes was good enough. And we, we keep it simple and we go through it. And, I started early on, it would be 2.5 hours, but then by the end it's an hour and 15. And I'll tell you right now, when I was at Quinnipiac, same thing, hour and 15, hour and a half at the most in late February. At Holy Cross, Ralph Willard, hour and 15, hour and a half. So a lot of Division I guys doing the same thing. They taper it down. It was 3 hours to start, and by the end they were doing an hour 15, an hour and a half.
I love that. I do that too. I love that.
Yeah. And I think that, you got to know that practice is where you create new winning culture. So I think you have to have accountability for all segments, winners and losers. As much as you can do winners, kids love that. I mean, I don't care what drill you're doing. If you can get a winners and losers, kids love busting on their teammates. That was the fun part of it. When I played, like, yo, get on the line. You know what I mean? Leaders got you. And then, like.
It doesn't matter. From someone that's done this a long time, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like,
no, it really doesn't.
It doesn't matter. And the thing is, sometimes it depends on the part of the season, too. Early in the season, you might run. Late in the season, you might do 5 burpees. Exactly. I'll do. Like if they're doing a contest versus another player, I'll say you have to do 5 burpees. And you have to say 3 nice things about the person you beat or beat, that lost to, and it's like, you have nice hair, like whatever. But it's just like they'll laugh and then they're doing it, but they don't want to do that. Like, so it's kind of the losing thing.
Yeah. I tell you, so I think that's a huge thing. And I said, I think pushing your effort stats. Like, I'm a big believer. When we were at Holy Cross, we did this thing called effort stats. I could show
And
you the chart,
so you talked about that before we came on the air. Like, give me some examples of effort stats.
Let me see if I can pull it up right.
Okay.
I have them right. Yeah, let me see. Can you?
Yeah,
can
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. Okay. So now, like, what we would do is, when I was at Holy Cross, one of the big things, the effort stats were huge, and we would break down a game film at the end of the game. So what we do is we take this right here, this form, and it would say, all right, we'd watch the first segment of the game, first play of the game, and I'd be like, okay, here we go. First shot goes up. Stop. Pause. Did Gio block out? No, Gio didn't block out. He got a 0. All right. Did Danny block out? He did. Rewind it. Wait a minute. Yeah, he did. He checked the kid. He got him. He got a 1. All the way down to the 5 guys in the game. If they had a chance to block out, did they or didn't they? And then it would be a 0-1. And then you go to the next possession where there was a ball loose or a ball got away. That's a ball pursuit. If you ever saw that while you're breaking down the film and you saw a ball being loose or whatever, did your guy pursue it or did he kind of just let someone else go get it?
And how many of those how many ball pursuits do you see in a game?
That, I'll tell you, when you start looking for them, there's a lot more than you can, because you could say to a kid, you could have went for that, but you didn't. And like no one else would pick up on it. But when you're watching it in film, you see 2 guys standing beside each other. And then one kid reacted to it and the other kid kind of just stood. And, and then when he saw the other kid went for it, he just kind of got in the defensive stance. So that would be a 0 for ball pursuit.
I think that's a huge, I mean, I've heard of some of these. That's a huge, I think if you do that early in the season, that can be the difference between winning and losing.
Without a doubt. That's diving on loose balls, the ball pursuits, that's, all of that. And then the shot contest, we talked about, like Ralph did this study when he was with Brick in the NBA about ball side shot contest. He used to talk about a shot contest in the middle of the face. It doesn't really affect the shot as much. But when you do a ball side shot contest, right where the shooter's hand is and going on the ball side, the kid has to usually move his hand just a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left. And that affects his shooting percentage at least 10%.
So are you talking same side hand?
Side hand.
Because I'm telling you, I just read an article, I don't know, somewhere halfway through like if it's a right-handed shooter and you close out with your left hand, it drops like 15%. It's crazy. It is something in the last couple of years we've really started to work on. The stats doesn't lie about it. I'm telling you. Yeah,
like ball side, just making sure, like my thing was just making sure he's on the ball side. Whatever hand you get up there, just get it on that ball side. So the kid has to think about moving the ball a little bit and angling his arms a little. So we used to chart that 0-1, 0-1. And I'll tell you, that would even get kids who normally just, there's a lot of kids who just run out there and close out, don't even put their hand up. You know what I mean? So if you charted that, and then you see at the end what happens. And then the only thing you do on the offensive end is offensive rebounding attempts. So like when we go now to the offensive side, I'd be like, all right, don't worry about when the shot goes up, did you go? Did Gio go for an offensive rebound? Did Danny go for an offensive rebound? And if one of them had defensive responsibility, like the top guy getting back, did he get back? Did he say, I got back? If he didn't, he got a 0. If he did, he gets a 1.
Because you don't necessarily want to crash 5 at all times.
No, we always crash 4.
Okay.
And that when we were when I was at Quinnipiac, we crashed 4. And I'll tell you right now, we were the #1 rebounding team in the country in 2013 and 14, and we were #1 offensive rebounding team in the country for 7 straight years at Quinnipiac over Duke, Kentucky, Michigan. I mean, it's unbelievable
because you're charting it. Whatever you chart, they're going to do. Whatever you
exactly.
Yeah.
And then we did the charges, and obviously, if you had a chance to take it, you didn't. If you did it, you got 1.
Yep.
Deflections were always huge. We try to get 40 or higher deflections.
And you don't do 0s for deflections. You just do 1.
No. Just if you got 1. Because it's tough to do a 0. So just deflections. And we always say, but 40 is our number you have to reach. If you don't get 40, we run. You know what I mean? So like kids with hands, and Ralph was always about keeping your hands up. He said hands down, like you don't get a chance to get a ball deflection. And
hands down, man down, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
All that. So I was I'm a big believer in the hands up on deflections. And then closeouts and rotations, I added in. We didn't chart that when I was Holy Cross, but I added that when I was at Salem State because
And what do you mean by closeout rotations? Whether the ball gets skipped and you can get a closeout?
Yeah, like you could tell in a defensive possession, like when a ball gets skipped, did your man do a horrible closeout? You know what I mean? Did he just sprint out there, the kid blew by him? All right, well, that's a 0. You know what I mean? But if he shuffled his feet, he controlled the guy, and he still got beat, I'd give him a 1 because he did a good closeout, but the kid scored.
That's a hard thing for a high school kid to do effectively. Is that second rotate? It's the burn by is like, oh my God, it's like, exactly. they have no. I don't know if it's because of like newborn giraffe and they don't know how their bodies work. But geez, it's like you're running out there like your house is on fire. They're gonna go around you, like
exactly. And then we do the rotations where we're basically, if you're 2 passes away, where are you at the dotted line? The old, in the center line, like hand on the line, seeing both ball and man, and that's a 0-1. So, but then we put all this together, and at the end, like I'm looking at it, like Gio, I did for Gio. He was 23 for 39. He had 58%. And our goal is if you're 70 or below, you run a sprint in practice to start the practice below 70%.
Okay.
So right now, Gio would start practice with 12 sprints. You know what I mean? So he'd go and just go, he'd see his effort stats and he'd be like, I got to go do 12 sprints timed. They all have to be timed. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, he would do it. So now he's pissed off because he's like, man, I got below 70. Like, you know what I mean? And then at the end, if we didn't get 40 deflections as a team, we'd have to run as a team for those 40 deflections.
And what percentage of those players usually got above 70? And do you do 70 for your high school kids?
No, I do 60 for my high school kids.
Okay.
To be honest with you, and I don't as much, I haven't cause it's a little bit harder with the high school kids to hold them as much accountable in this. I show them this, but we don't just run as much. If something was blatant and early on, I do, but I didn't do this as much the whole year.
Okay.
Because it's a different, the prep school level. It's just a different.
Well, and this would be a hard thing to do for every game, but you could do it early. I mean, we
did it early on. I do it my first 5 games.
That would be my advice to coaches that are listening, because I'll try to get a copy of this, but that would be my advice: is do it early. You set the tone early, because
I'll tell you right now, we did this at Holy Cross. This is no lie. It was the second game or third game of the year. And the kids at the end, you had to be above 70%, all that. We came in and coach read these effort stats off, and we lost the game by about 15. And he said, okay, everybody come on to get on the line. We were down in the recreational facility because of the main play. I'll never forget it. We had to do 138 sprints as a team. 138 sprints. And I'm telling you right now, they were all timed. And if you didn't make it, we went again. It was like 2 hours of running. I'll never forget the next game, guys were screaming at each other. Shot contest on the ball side. What are you doing? I am not running tomorrow. Like, because by the way, we were running at 6 a.m. You know what I mean? Like 6 a.m. run. So like these guys had to get up at 5:30, and then they had to do 138 sprints, and then we had practice later. You know what I mean? Like,
and they had to go to not an easy class. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, but I saw the mentality change of worrying about their offense, worrying about shot select, all that. What they were worried about were blockouts, shot contests, ball pursuits. They started and all of a sudden, win. We became the number 1 field goal percentage team in the country at 36%. Holy Cross. We played Kentucky in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and Tyshawn Prince hit a half-court shot that basically beat us. We lost 72 to 68. But
hey, Coach, hope you're liking the video. If you are, kick down below. That would help us a ton. Hit the like button down below. If you want to subscribe, that'd be awesome. Hit the little bell up above. You'll get a notification every time one of our new videos goes live. Also, make sure you go over and check out teachhoops.com. Enjoy.
We were 16 seed. They were 1 seed. And I'll tell you, the kids were like doing just the effort stats. It was amazing.
Right. It's awesome.
I've seen it work.
That's awesome. Let's go back to that summary thing, and then I want to shoot some questions at you too.
No problem. So I think those are important. The effort stats. Then you always got to teach and practice the great teammate stuff. When a guy takes a dive, making sure your team's running the hole for him. They take a chance. Teach them the teammate. Like that's something I learned from Coach Moore and a couple other guys, Darren Horn. Like he was just they're all about like when they do a hustle play, make sure you get excited as a coach,
right? And
your team gets excited because you want to see them like positive reinforcement, like do that again, and you want to see the kid who didn't do it say, "Hey man, I better start doing that." You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
I think those are the teammate stuff, and we all know what that is: up and down on the bench, high fives to your team, emotion at the right time. Like when a good play, there better be emotion for the right time, not for the wrong things.
Right.
Handling winning correctly, dealing with losing correctly. Those are two big components I think are important. I think the discipline, you're always going to have individual and team discipline. So how you handling that? Like, what are you doing? Like, we do 11s, we do 31s. Like, that's 11 is up and back in 11 seconds. 31 is a suicide. I give them 31 seconds to get it done. A 17 is from the sideline to sideline. You got a minute and 10 seconds. You got to get 17 of them done in a minute and 10. And it kind of works out. You got to be really busting to get it done. 17. So, like how you handle your discipline when you guys do burpees, like 25 burpees, wall sits.
Are you holding them accountable is what I would tell the young, especially
Exactly.
the younger coaches. It's like, it doesn't matter what you make them do.
Exactly.
It's just, they got to know that you did this, you do this, we're moving on.
Moving on now. Yeah, we got it. And you can always come across it.
Yeah.
And then, I think to teach the group mental toughness is the huge thing about that, who show the leaders.
I think that's huge too.
Toughness is, great. If you have a
great book.
Talk about, that's about the little things. And, I think that's huge.
That's Duke. Yeah.
Yeah. Energy and enthusiasm is a huge part of the winning habits, making sure your staff brings it. If you don't have that, fire the guy. It's not worth having around.
No. And the thing is, it's hard too, because sometimes I got to be picked up. I had a long day. I had a parent call. I had 85,000 tests to grade, blah, blah, blah. And I'm walking into practice and I'm only at 80. You got to have somebody that's going to pick you. All right, let's go. Like,
exactly.
It's not, you can't, it's really hard every day, but
I'll tell you, when I was always the younger guy in most of the programs, but even when I was a Quinnipiac, I was a little bit older, and I had to try and be that guy all the time.
Right.
'Cause I was working for like a older guy, Ralph Willard, Tom Moore. So
right.
like to give my worth, it was like, I wasn't like, this ex-NBA player or whatever.
Right.
I was like, I had to be that energy guy. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, it can be embarrassing at times, but you got to be like that all the time. So the guys believe in you, like, man, like this guy's always bringing it. You know what I mean?
Right. And they can feed off it. It's like when they start clapping, there's an energy that just comes with it. You can't, you can fake that a little bit. Yes.
And that translates every day into like your games. I've seen it happen. Team energy, if you do that every day, your team's going to have energy on the court, because you can say, hey guys, we've been doing this every day, and that's something you can hold your hat on. And then I think finally, like you got to mirror what you do in practice,
right?
Like style of play. You know what I mean? If you're an up-tempo team, make sure you're working on that stuff, the pressing. You got to work on all those things. Like I was big.
If you want to be fast-paced, you better work on fast-paced. I mean, it seems simple, but people forget it. Go down and click on that. We'll go to one of your practice plans in a second. Go down to the game planning one.
Sure.
So is there anything specific you do for like game planning and practice planning and things like that? I mean, how much time do you spend on scouts and stuff like that?
I had a taper. I mean, when I was at Division I, I mean, it was
your life.
All we did. That was life. I mean, I'd watch probably, 8-7 game films of the opponent, and then breaking them down, each one of them to, like breaking out all the plays, breaking out all the defenses. By the time I was done with one film, I probably watched it 100 times. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And then I got to go to the next game film and the next game film and the next game film. So that's all we kind of did at the college level. But at the high school level, I know, like you said, the TikTok world, these kids, is going to be a short snippet. So I'd give like 3 or 4 clips of each player they're going to be playing against.
Okay.
Their top 5 or 6 players, and then their general offense. I'd watch maybe 3 or 4 minutes of their plays.
Okay.
And I'd show them about 2 or 3 minutes of either a man or in zone, just so they got a feel for them. And that's it. So it was really, maybe 8-9 minutes. And I talk to them. I show them a scout report. This one's a little bit this one I was at Division II when I showed this, but the high school one's very similar, just like this, same exact thing. You have the kid's name. There'd be a picture. I took the pictures out for this, but there'd be a picture beside it. The kid's name, what he did, how much he averaged, basically what he did.
So for individuals, you're looking for tendencies.
Exactly.
Okay.
This kid's a shooter. It always says at the end, like the keys contain, for drives, stay between him and the basket. And then I quiz the kids before the game. Like I go, all right, I always have a board and I have the box, 5 boxes, 5 starters. And I'd be like, all right, number 4, Smith, and then the other point guard, that's his point guard for that team.
Right.
My point guard, I said, tell me about him. You know what I mean? And he'd be like, coach, you got short clothes on him. He's a lefty. That I'm like, good job. And if the kid didn't, I'd be like, someone else know? I said, and that would embarrass the kid enough the next game that he'd know. You know what I mean?
Right. Because it's really about, I'm convinced high school is a lot about matchups. It's a lot about it's,
without a doubt,
this kid's got, because most of them have some weaknesses.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
They all do, to be honest with you. There's not too many who don't.
Right.
So that's what we do. We do the offense characteristics, game plan, and all that, and the keys to the game. And then I'd have this basically scout report kind of like condensed on my board before pregame, up on the board. And
what do you do on your board in the pregame? That's a great question. I haven't asked me.
I put up this right here, this one. I don't know if this is gonna come up. There you go. Circle opportunity.
Okay.
And I have basically 5 starters up on the board for them, and then a couple of their subs, and I write notes about them. Like each guy.
Yep.
So I first talk about, all right, here's the 5 stars. Let's go over it, guys. Blah, 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 blah. And I say, okay, what does this team like to do offensively? They tell me, I'd be writing it down. Defensively, what do they play? Man, zone. They say it. I'm like, okay, now let's go over on our side. What's going to help us win this game? And I circle opportunity, coach. I'm like, all right, let's talk about that. Like, what's going to help us win? The ball pursuits. How many deflections do we need in this game? 40, coach. 40, coach. All right, we all going. How many guys are going to the glass? 3 going to the glass, 2 back. All right. This game was sending 4 because they, we can afford to send 4. They'd all know at that point, we got a shot contest, blockouts, charges. How many charges are we going to get today? Someone going to get me a charge? I joke around. Get me 1 or 2. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to get 5 today, coach. I try to get him into it. And then we leave 1 blank because each game there might be something more specific, like a, closeout or, rotations are important in this game. So I'd write that in myself. And then I put down my keys of today, whatever the key mantra is today,
Okay. I love that. Keys. And again, how long do you normally talk in pregame?
Probably about 15 minutes, 15 minutes. So I, get them, they go out there, they stretch, they do a little bit of warm up. They come in for about 15 minutes. I go over to them. Then they go back out for the next, they usually go back out there for 20, with about 25 or 35 left in the clock. They go out there with, and then they come back in at 7 to get their hype going. They do the old, huddle hype, coming in, getting their bouncing going for about 30 seconds, and then back out for the last 4 or 5 minutes. So
okay. All right. So good. You can take that off. Is there anything else you want to talk about the practice planning?
No, I mean, I just think, just the monthly ones, everybody has their own monthly plan, but I think that's important to have.
You got to map it out. Grab one of your practices. Let's look at that real quick. And then I have a couple other questions.
Sure.
So, this is perfect.
I can go to this one. That's fine. Yeah. This is one I used before. So,
okay. It doesn't matter. So tell me how you break a practice down.
We start with the stretching, like we talked about, the dynamic stretch in the beginning. This one was, we did, proper form, you know what I mean? We were talking about, because guys weren't doing proper form in the last one. So we do 8 minutes of like that. We did started off the practice with running because the locker rooms were a mess. So
God, that must be universal. That must be universal.
So in this practice, we, everybody got a line because, we went in and we picked it up and, came back out, and then we started the stretching. So we kind of had it started with a little bit of negative, but yet then that never happened again.
Right.
So,
you fix it real quick.
Yeah. And then we do a dynamic drill that, I think gets guys going, and we do this thing called 4-minute shooting. And it's like 3 basketballs, and it's at the elbows. I don't know if you can see this, but
here, let's stop sharing your screen for a second. We'll come back to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the entire team would be out there, and it'd be 2 lines, one side and the other side from the elbows, just like this.
Yep.
And so it'd be just like that, and they have 3 basketballs, 1, 2, 3 on this side.
Okay.
And they'd start. This line would come to the middle, and they'd pass it to them. They take the shot.
Okay.
All right. And then they'd switch lines just like that. And then the next ball would pass to the next guy coming in from the side. And they'd pass it back to the same side. The ball would go back for the same side.
Okay.
So it would always be getting passed from this side to that side.
Yep.
All right. For 1 minute. So for 1 minute, they'd be shooting, this line would be the shooting line. This line would be a pass line for 1 minute. Okay. And they'd be shooting kind of like a free throw line jumper. A little bit over to the left, a little bit to the right, just getting touches, quick passes. And when you've got to go offensive rebound, go get your rebound, and then call a guy in the line's name out. Billy.
And then you go back to your same line then.
No, you go to the opposite line.
Okay.
So you get, the other guy, when you pass it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You get the offensive rebound. You get your offensive rebound. You pass it to the guy.
Yep.
Then you get to that end of the line.
End of that line. Okay.
And then the other guy who passed it to you,
Yep.
would go to the end of this line. You know what I mean? And they just keep on switching lines like that for 1 minute with 3 basketballs going. So, and then you have the manager keeping a track of how many makes, like that. So you'd be yelling, and your focus as a coach is making sure guys grab a rebound and talk and call the guy's name out and pivot on their foot and not travel and run with the basketball on the court. And, balls getting whipped everywhere. Call the guy's name out at the end of the line. Guy's hands are ready. Throw it to him. Get it in there. So we're doing that for about a minute. And then everybody would be aware, because you have 4 minutes on the clock and it's running down. And then at 3 minutes, everybody switch. And all of a sudden, this line would move down to the block. This line would stay same spot, just like that.
Okay.
And this guy's would be down in the block area, right above the block. Not inside, but it'd be above the block right there. You make the pass from here to them, and then have to make like a backboard jump, quick backboard jump. And you'd be surprised how many misses guys make right from the block, off the backboard. Quick.
It's horrible.
But, it was quick passes. Next guy, hands up, ready, shot. Hands up, and then he'd be counting the misses from the block. 7, 8. Come on, man. Focus. Let's go. Focus. And it's going quick.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, a minute would go down. They're still keeping track of the score. You know what I mean? You're going right now. Now you're at like 50, 60, 70, 71, 72. Now it's a minute, another one. Switch. Now the lines go back. Now the balls go over on this side. And they switch to the this
other direction. Yep.
Now we're going the other direction for minute 3. Going. And then switch, minute 4. This line moves down to the block, and they go for a minute here.
Okay.
And they got to get to 145. That's the minimum. And you can start changing the goal. It might be 150.
Do they get 145 early in the season?
No, and then we make them run, to be honest with you. At first, I'd let them learn the drill, and then I'd be, all right, what's our minimum? And, your minimum might be, depending on how good a shooting team you are, might be 112, 115.
Right.
Like you do it 2 or 3 times without, not telling them what then you say, all right, listen, 3 times we've done it, we've gotten 115 and 118. Our goal is, I'm not going below 115. So if we go below 115, we're running a sprint for everyone below 115.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden for the whole rest of the year, there's your standard. 115 is your standard.
Right.
And then as a coach, now they start killing it every time you get them going. They're like, all right, I'm moving it up to 120, guys. And you start raising the back level. When we were at at Quinnipiac, we were doing 160.
Okay. And do you do different shots, or you do only those 4 steps? Do you ever do?
We do those 4 quick. It's about ball movement. It's not about really the shots. It's about talking, communicate, quick passes, hands ready, getting their minds into, if you're not awake and you're not, and everybody at the end of the line has to be clapping. If you don't have a ball, you got to clap. So if you're not into it, you might get a ball off the head. You might get, you know what I mean? You're not ready. The coach is screaming at you, get your hands up, ready, shot, ready, turn, So now, it's just a drill to get everyone into practice right away. Simple drill, quick shooting, 4-minute time with a goal. Everybody's going. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love that.
4-minute shoot. I kind of like it. And, we've always it gets our practices really.
And it gets it moving. Okay, let's go back to the shared screen here.
Share. Here we go. All right. Then we did the old 3-on-0 layup. Which, everybody does. We all know that one, right? Just three man weave. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Layup. And then 3-on-0 layup. This is 3-on-0 layup. So this is basically. I'm going to come back out of that. I'll show you.
Okay.
Stop share. Right. Here we go. All right. So this is how this drill works. You'd have 3 guys. A layup line right there. We'd have and a rebounding line right here. And then everybody would fill in those 3 spots. There's the 3 spots in the court.
Okay.
So now what would happen was this guy would go for his left-handed layup.
Hey, Coach, hope you're enjoying the video. A couple things. First of all, like down below. That helps us a lot being found on YouTube. Second thing is make sure you subscribe. Hit that little bell up above. You'll get a notification every day when we go live. And then also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.
Coming right now.
Okay.
Right? He'd make the layup. And then as he made the layup, he takes off down the court.
Okay.
He goes. The big man steps on the court, gets the ball out of the net, goes out of bounds, and then the point guard who's here, he goes to ass to the sideline, calls for an outlet. You know what I mean? Yep. Outlet, ball. This guy has to clear the paint here, and he's got to throw an outlet pass to the point guard. Point guard has his ass to the sideline, so he doesn't get, like the old ass to the, if he turns and catches, it's going to be a charge. You know what I mean? So you don't want that. So the key teacher you're talking about, calling for the outlet, point guard, off the sideline, but, a good enough so you could turn either baseline, sideline, or middle.
Right.
So now he's got to be asked to the sideline. You make that pass to him here. He turns and goes and makes a chest pass, up the court, snap pass up to the court for this guy going for the layup. The big man who made the outlet has to come down and get the rebound out of the net.
Okay. Yep.
So you've got a 3-man moving at the same time. You get the point guard, you get the layup guy. So the layup guy goes, takes the shot, boom, takes off, outlet, snap, bang, here. That's 3-on-0 layup. And, boy, he comes down. Then the next group comes 3 guys going. 3-0 layup, 3-0 layup.
Yep.
And it just really teaches pushing the ball up the court, outlet,
side,
rebound.
I like that.
You know what I mean? It really gets you going. And then you transfer that, the same exact thing. Now when they're really good with and they come back the other way, 3-0 layup coming back the other way to your right hand, left hand. You come, when we're all down here now, we just go back the other way. And now after 3-0 layup, we do 3-0 post pass. And the 3-0 post pass is very similar, same exact situation. The guy goes for the layup here, takes, makes the layup, takes off down the court, going down the court. Big man, the same exact thing, takes out of bounds, outlet, same exact thing here. Now this is 3-0 post pass. So now you throw it up the court, and instead of going for a layup, you dribble it down to the corner and come back. Big man,
and your big man's trailing.
Sprint to rim to rim. He posts up. These 2 guys are here. And now you got to make an entry pass to the post, pass, fake high, pass around low. Your assistant coach is standing out here with a basketball right here.
Yep.
You make the post. This post, big man makes his post move. The coach passes it out to one of these players, and then he penetrates and kicks out for a shot.
I like that.
Penetrate, kick out.
That trailer big thing is so hard for them to do.
Oh, I know.
Isn't it?
It's a tough. I'll tell you, we work on that a lot. And then when we have a coach stand here and as the bigs coming down, we bump him with a pad. He's got to skin off, you know what I mean? And catch it in the post.
And I'm telling you, you might run this drill for a month and they still won't be good. I mean, it just takes so long for that trailing big.
Oh, I know.
Because I don't know if they don't look.
Not clearing that paint, catch it. And if they get the mentality of sprinting, that's why they got to get the ball out of the net, sprint the court. Like the same exact thing, like post up. I want our bigs trying to beat the other big down the court.
And they don't look. I mean, I think part of that summer basketball, I hate to say it, but the game is so wide that they don't look for those guys going down unless it's going to be a tomahawk dunk. They never look for them coming down the lane anymore.
I'll tell you right now, I hate to say it, but there's limited amount of big men in the country anymore. I ran a NEPSAC tournament, which is all the NEPSAC schools in New England came to my gym this past summer for the college coaches. There was 200 college coaches across the country, high level, Division I. It was a sanctioned event. It was one of the only sanctioned ones in the summer. And so we said, hey, what we're going to do for these guys, man? They want to see them play, but they also got to do a breakdown a little bit. So let's break them down to 3 groups: post player, wing, and point guard. So I said, all right, guys, get them all together. I said, all right, listen, anybody who's a point guard, go to court 1. Wing, go to court 2. Post player, go to court 3. You guys all set? Now there was 250 kids.
Let me guess. Less than 10 bigs.
5 went over to court 3. 5 out of 250 went over to the big man section. It was unbelievable.
Well, and I'm telling you, part of that is college. Part of that's the NBA. Like, they're looking for Giannis. They're looking for like long, lanky Magic Johnson kind of. They're not looking for bigs anymore. No, the Shaquille O'Neals of the world are gone.
It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I was going over to the wings. I'm like, why don't you go over to just to get seen? There's college coaches on that court. Like,
right.
You're in a line with like 60, 70 other dudes. Why not go over there with them on 5?
I'd be like the 6-foot kid down there with the posts. It's like, look at me. Look at me.
Exactly. So, but I know it's hard to get those bigs, but if you can get a big to run the court and all that and post up.
All right, let's go. Let's do the end of it in like 3 minutes because I have a couple questions I want to ask you and I don't want to keep you all night here.
Yeah, no problem. Share screen back.
I mean, I could talk basketball all night, but there you go. Okay.
Yeah, these are 3-on-2 continuous drill, 2 teams, which I think is a fun drill. It's a continuous drill where it's basically teaching a 3-on-2 and just going up and back continuous 3-on-2s. That's a good one. We broke it off, did some free throws. If you missed, you had a penalty. Like you do a 1-on-1. I always teach our guys to take 2 free throws. After you take the first one, step off the line, take the second one, and then it's a 1-on-1. If you miss the first, you got to do something, like double. If you miss the second, you only got it. So we do 20. So if you do, if you miss the first, you do 20 burpees. If you miss the second, you only do 10 burpees.
Right.
So there's always a penalty on the free throws, teaching them like it means something. So that's not messing around. So we always take the free throws, and that's when they get their water. After you take 2 1-on-1s, you can go get a water, and we kind of give them their break. So there are always some water breaks in the free throws. And we go over shell drill. Teaching a shell drill, typical across the country. Everybody works on a shell. Strong, weak side cutters, that. Then we worked on switching ball screens during this practice, which is always important. What are you going to do? Switch ball screens? How are you going to play a ball screen?
I'm telling you, ball screens are the one thing that literally you don't. We're high school coaches.
How do you play? What do you play the ball screen?
I double the ball screen a lot, especially up high, because there's not a lot. And we're playing. Consistently, there's a handful of D1 guys in our league. The problem is, I got to jump. Otherwise, you're going to turn the corner, and kids don't pass out of that well. That's my theory. Is we're going to rotate fast enough that if I come at you now, don't get me wrong. We were hedging. We were doing some other stuff late in the season. But I'm going to double you at least half. I'm going to make you think that we're coming. You said that ball screen, we're doubling the ball. Go ahead and flare and roll. The guy that has the ball is not going to get it to you half the time.
Exactly, especially the high school level.
Yeah,
we've been icing it, and I've been trying to get that ice down to these guys. But it's when you commit to it, if one of the things screw up, you get really messed up.
Yeah, and here's the problem is we don't have the time to practice. If I'd run that, I'd run all sorts of different types of things. If I could spend, the time to teach them.
Practice it,
we're going to do this for this team. We're going to do this for this team. But it's like we don't have time. If I had them all year round, even if I could only see them for a couple hours in the fall and the spring, I could do all that. But it's like we get shut down. I don't know.
I know it's very hard. They limit I think they're trying to give it more back to the high school coaches lately. The NCAA is kind of like they've given us a little bit.
I have several things I'm gonna fight for before I get done with this thing. One is the jump ball should go away. It's a stupid thing. Why do the officials can't even throw the ball?
No, the officials mess it up every time.
Let's just give the visiting team the ball and do alternating possession. That's my first thing. It's stupid. It's just a dumb thing. What were we just talking about?
Do you run a tap play? I run a tap play.
We do run a tap play. We've been burned on a tap play too.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. Keep going, coach. Then we just we had this practice. We had conditioning for 4 minutes because sometimes we only have 2 baskets.
So, because you share the court with, like the women's, the other JV. So if I don't have my 6 hoops, then I do conditioning, stations. And have 4 guys are taking free throws, and then we rotate. Like those 4 guys come free throws, the other guys are in conditioning. So you kind of get your conditioning in with the water because we try to be a pressing team. Then I work on press. We work on press break during this practice and zone offense versus the 2-3 and the 1-3-1. We do this drill called Michigan State, which is I got from Michigan State. Tom Izzo, it's a phenomenal drill. Basically, you start off 2-on-1. There's 2 teams. White and blue. Blue's down the other end. He sends one guy out on defense.
Okay.
White team comes down with 2 guys. Okay. They got the ball. They're on offense. So now it's a 2-on-1. Right. Going down the court 2-on-1. Play, score.
Yep.
Now we're up 2-0 to White. We get back in a tandem because 2 guys on the blue come out. Now it's a 3-on-2. 3-on-2 coming back. And now it's 3 blue guys versus 2 white. They got to make the stop.
Yep.
They say they score. Now it's 2-2. Yeah. Now the white team sends out 4. Now 2 other guys come on. Now it's a 4-on-3.
Right.
Now you go down, play the 4-on-3, scramble and triangle, how to play D. All of a sudden the shot goes up. We make it. We're up 6-4. They send 2 more guys on. Now it's a 5-on-4 going back. We're doing the box. 1 guy's open. Finally score. Now it's 6-6. Now it's a 5-on-5, the final drill.
I love that.
Awesome drill. Teams love it because it's a score. It's like, who's going to
active too. You're active. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 2-on-1, 3-on-2, all the things that happen in practice. phenomenal drill. Got that from Tom Izzo. And, just we did it when I was at Holy Cross. We did it when I was at Quinnipiac. We did it when I was at Western Kentucky. We did it when I was everywhere I've gone and done it. It's an awesome drill. Kids love it. And then we did some defensive conditioning. I always believe that you got to teach kids to stay in stance. And so we do the slide run drill. So basically that when I said defensive conditioning, it's like you start in the corner, they slide out to the elbow, then they sprint. Then they slide to the other elbow, then they sprint to the corner. Then they're sliding the whole baseline. Same thing, slide, run, all the way up.
And the problem is the kids, kids want to stand up so much.
And we teach them slow, like board, don't like come up, don't no bunny hopping. Try and teach that technique of not clicking your heels, short choppy steps, board between your legs, 6 inches, all that kind of stuff. And that's where you can really teach that. And it's also work on the conditioning of staying in the stance. So we talked about that, getting some water. And then this day was a scout day. So we were talking 15 minutes about the other team and what drills they did. And then we go through last 10 minutes, all our plays, dry.
Yep.
And, side out of bounds, underneath out of bounds. And then we do our post practice.
And how do you do, I see on the bottom, you've got groups. Do you make them competitive and equal? Do you put your starting 5 together? How do you do that?
It varies. Earlier in the season, we do it, to be honest with you, we break them off like evenly. And then later on, I kind of want my 5 starters kind of working. I want the other kids to be the scout team. And I want those kids to kind of like wish they were a starter and bust their ass to try and get the starting spot. Yeah. So I kind of, as the season progresses, we kind of like have the top group and the second group, and I kind of keep them green and white,
differentiate. So you can, let's share the screen here. Do you, if you could only do 3 things at practice, what would you do?
Oof, three things in practice. I guess it would be, I would have to do offensively. We'd be doing a lot of shooting. I think that would be important. And I would be really working on shell. I think your defensive, your half court, you have to, in order to win, you got to be able to stop someone in the half court. I think, you know what I mean?
You do.
So you gotta. So I'd probably work on shell. I think in order to win, also on the other end, you got to make shots. I don't think enough guys work on shooting like game shots, not like just stand still, like jack them up, like, like time and score, like game shooting drills that like really put pressure on kids and like, you got, elevate and make a shot like under pressure and like put them as much as you can in that. So I'd be doing competitive shooting drills, probably shell. And then since I'm a pressing coach, I've always, been pressing. I'd work on some kind of press, like whatever it is, the, diamond or, black or,
what do you think the hardest thing to teach is?
Hardest thing to teach. That's a really good question. I think, the hardest thing to teach is teammate stuff, like getting the kids away from themselves and holding them accountable to like being a great teammate. I think that's important. And like, I don't think the kids even realize they're doing it. And like, I had a kid, every time he made a basket, he was pointing to the crowd and, like doing the whole, guns and, just making crazy stuff. And I
hit a 3. I'm running down the court. I hit a 3.
I know.
Why are you doing that?
I know. Like, getting him to believe in himself, not to do that. And like, it meant something to, it was just tough. And I said, I want you, the kid would be like, why are you taking it away from me, coach? It's supposed to be celebrate. I'm like, yeah, I want you to celebrate, but wait till a timeout. Like if you make a 3 and they call a timeout and it's whatever, then I want you jumping up. I want you hugging your teammates. I want that emotion and that passion, but like not in the middle of a flow of a game. Right. And I think kids don't get that. They don't think about the next play enough. Like, you got to be locked in, man, like on every possession. Like every possession means something to us.
And I'm not going to defend this kid, but it's, I'm married to a psychologist. Part of that is that teenage brain. So yeah, anyway, they don't think beyond 2 minutes.
I know. So that's hard I think it's hard to get them to buy into that team mentality and like it's more than just me and like these kids, they're all in high school. They want to be the leading scorer. They want to be the the guy that makes the shot and the fans are all cheering their name and all that. But they don't realize is like if you can do it consistently, they're going to be doing that for everybody. Like in the fans because they're going to win. You're going to win. Right. So I'm trying to get that out of their mentalities is hard and making them believe that it means something.
What would you tell your young self?
Oof.
I'm just trying to. I always think of questions that coaches would want to hear. That
I mean, I think it's. I love what I've done this for now. I've been at Division I, Division II, Division III. I've been a head high school coach, and I wouldn't do it differently. You know, to be honest with you, if I was younger though, I probably would have tried to get to the highest level earlier. Because I think like if I was younger, I'd say try and get on a Syracuse as a manager. Try and get as a video assistant at like Duke or no, like work as many high level camps as you can to get to know the assistants and that kind of stuff. Because I think it's easier to come down from the highest level to where you got to be than to try and to go from a high school assistant to a high school head coach.
Right. I mean, there's only so many Bo Ryans in the world.
Yeah, there's
that just doesn't happen. I mean, Boeheim did it. Boeheim.
But it's very few and far between.
Not Boeheim. Michigan coach did it.
Izzo.
No, the one that went
Beeline, John Beeline.
Beeline did it. He did it. Yeah, Beeline.
Yeah,
did it.
You're right. Yeah, very few. Very few to build that up like that and win at a higher level. Like I could go right now to Hampton Hall here and win the national championship, like high school for the next 5. And I don't think a Division I's going to offer me a job. You know what I mean? Like it ain't gonna
the only thing that would open doors for you is you've got experience.
Yeah.
Like if I applied for even a D3 job, they're going to say you haven't recruited.
Right.
Great, you've won, but I don't know if you can coach to college level.
Exactly.
My theory is that coaching's coaching. As long as I know enough about the game, I would recruit the right guys that would fit my system. That's part of the key. But that's not. I mean, I never wanted. I mean, I had my chances, but I love coaching high school. But that's you're right. It's like, and the problem is you got to look at it like you're an indentured servant. If you want to be a college coach, you're an indentured servant. You're going to work 100 hours and make $12, basically.
Oh my God! Like, if I ever charted the amount of hours I put in at Holy Cross, and it's crazy.
Right.
40-hour week is not, it's not even.
There is no 40-hour week.
It's not even. It's funny to even say that word. You know what I mean? Like it's
right. Because there's 50 people standing behind you that'll take the job. It's like being.
Oh yeah, and to be honest with you, when you're going through it, like I didn't even think of it like that. Like I wasn't thinking like wait a minute, day off. Like I gotta be in the office tomorrow at 6. Like we got we got effort stats. I'm doing here till 1 o'clock in the morning. Like
right,
they're hard days, but like you don't even think about it. Just part of your mentality. So if you don't have that mentality and that love for this game and the love to,
you won't make it.
My biggest thing was my love of watching the film and getting guys better. And I walked into a practice and after I watched the kids' effort stats, I could talk to a kid for a half an hour, but man, like, listen, when you were blocking out, you weren't bending. You weren't like, you got to get lower. And his kid's like, what do you mean, coach? I'm like, let's watch the film. Look at you stand. So like, you could really teach a kid and you see the kid get that aha moment. Those are the moments I live for in coaching. And that's what carried me through when I got better. So like, if younger coaches, you got to love it like that. If you don't, it's a long road, man. If you're in there,
I always tell my students that the key to life is find something you love to do, something you're good at, and something that pays well. If you find the interchange of those 3, you're in good shape. I think I found 2 of the 3.
Right.
Teachers don't make a lot of money, but anyway, so that's the happiness, and you might love to do something like I always tell my students, you might love singing.
Yeah, right.
You're not any good at it. Like, so that's fine. You can sing the rest of your life, but no one's going to listen to you,
Right.
So you got to try to find something you love to do and you're good at. If you could talk to one coach, who would you talk to? Living or dead?
John Wooden.
Why?
I just like, I did a lot of reading when about coaching and stuff like that. And I just loved his mentality. He never swore in front of his players. He was a gentleman. And he won a lot, and he really won a lot, and he was really attention to detail in practice. And like, he didn't have to yell during the games, and he always says, because I knew we worked so hard in practice. And if you ever get a chance, just listen to stuff about John Wooden and read about him and just watch some tape on him. He's hard not to like be inspired by, and just what he did and accomplished. I don't think there's any other college coach out there that's done what he's done.
Is there anything you would change about the game?
What level? The high school?
Any level?
Any level?
I mean, I think there's a lot of things that have been changing, like the 3-point line going back deeper and stuff like that. I think changes the game a lot. I've seen that, when I played, we didn't even have the three, like early on.
Yeah, I know.
And now it's
college,
like back in college and stuff like that. So I think there's some rules that I would like change, but I kind of like the way it is. I think that there's things that have to evolve.
Do you have a shot clock?
We do have a shot clock. Yeah, I think everyone should have a shot clock.
How long is yours?
We go 30 seconds.
Okay.
So
and do you have a problem with someone running it?
Managers? I mean, we hire staff that come in and do the games.
And how and you.
Hey Coach, I'm glad you're liking the video. Hit like down below. That helps us a ton, being found on YouTube. Subscribe. Also hit the little bell up above if you want to get notified. We put a new video up every day. We're breaking some of the great stuff down right now. Also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.
You have 3 officials?
We have, most games we have 3 officials. For our home games we have 3, but sometimes in the row we only have 2.
And do they have a problem with the shot clock, whether it hits the rim and those kind of things? I mean, it's not the college level.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it happens. I mean, it's going to happen throughout the game, but it's not to the effect where I think it ruins the game. Someone's that clueless. I think they get the hang of it and they get better. And, as long as you get an attentive, responsible person there, who's willing to it means something to them.
Right. And what percentage of time does the shot clock come into play?
That's a good question. I'd probably say maybe, I don't know, maybe 15% of the game.
And what do you do do you have specific things you do if it's running down?
Oh yeah. Under 10 seconds, we have, kids, if we haven't got something on 10 seconds, they bring the ball to the middle and they run a flat middle ball screen. Not an angle, a kind of middle flat. So guys can't have to hedge one way or the other. It's a little bit harder with a flat ball screen. So we call that flat, and, they do that. Or we do 1-4 low, and we try and let our best player go. So we have a couple calls, head tap, and, that with shot clock running down. And then the old typical fist would just come out, get a side screen because he's on the side and we can't get to the middle. Then if he just calls a fist, it's side ball screen with under 10 seconds. These are all on after our play hasn't panned out, our secondary hasn't panned out, play hasn't panned out. Clock's down to 9, run to either fist, side screen, middle screen, or flat. One of the 3.
Right.
So we do end the shot clock stuff, and then we have plays that we go over with, under 5 seconds, all the different stuff.
Right. No, I get it. And the only reason I have a problem with shot clocks, I think this is a stats teacher me. There's such a wide range of abilities at high school level. Your guys and my guys can create. We would never have a shot clock problem ever.
Right.
I could.
There really is not. The way I press,
right.
I don't even remember maybe once in a while we look at the end of the game because, the other team's trying to delay or whatever. But the way we press, we're pressing on every possession.
So it doesn't,
it doesn't affect us.
But I'm just thinking even a really small guys team or a really small girl, I mean, they just don't have the players that when the shot clock gets to 10, the ball, there's going to be some really bad shots.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I think the alternative of not having a shot clock and guys delaying the game and having the games in the,
do you think that happens that much though?
Oh yeah, in New Jersey, there's big things about that. The old 4 corners and keeping the scores of 25-22 in a high school basketball game. And
could they do that to you though? That you wouldn't let them do that to you?
No, I wouldn't let that would happen. But I guess if you have some skilled players, it might be hard if they're you're trying to trap them, they throw it to the other side,
right.
They get it over, and then they go back to it. Yeah, it could. I don't think it'd ever get to that point with the athletes that I have, but I can see. I don't know. I mean, if that's your style of coaching,
I think it's a hard thing to sell kids if you're going to pull it out too. To be honest,
I mean, that's
it's a hard sell, man.
I
just
think it speeds up the game and makes you want to play, get the game fast. Kids know they got to play fast. And then when you go to college, you got to be playing like that.
Right.
So my thing is we should be duplicating the things that we do in high school to college. I have a big problem with our our league because they don't let us scout. Opponents. They don't no exchanging tapes, that kind of stuff.
Can you go and send scouts to games?
No, not in our league. It's ridiculous. And I'm they say.
Okay. So anybody that's listening, my mouth just dropped to the floor. Yeah. I literally can't even tell you how much tape we go through of opposing teams. Like
Yeah.
there was one opponent we played this year that we had every game, like every game they played, every game.
That's college. That's basically college.
I had all the stats. I had everything. I knew who could shoot. I knew where they were going to shoot. I knew how they were going to shoot.
So you get to the point where you're sending people, talking to people about what's going on. Then you got to wait till you play them once to get your film on them. You know what I mean? Or you got a buddy who has film on them that sends it to you. It's such a bad system, and I'm trying to get it changed. And I'm trying to. So now they got to the point where this year they let us go. If you ask the opposing coach if you can come, they allow you. You have to ask the opposing athletic director to come to the game. You have to ask that. So
okay. I'm moving to Connecticut and going to start an underground taping system, man.
Oh, you'd make $1 million. You know what I mean? It's like
I'll just go and tape.
I think it really was because I think some of the coaches are just too lazy. Say, hey, I'm not a full-time coach here. I can't go out and watch games at night because I have a game, so I can't get film, and I don't have time to break it down, and I don't want to get my film out. You know, that whole thing. I don't want.
First of all, buy Huddle or buy something that's gonna break the film down for you.
Exactly. That's what we do. We got Huddle Assist. It's awesome.
Oh my God. It's literally like, so you don't remember this stage, but like when I started my coaching career, it was 2 VCR tapes, man. And it was like,
I was there.
Oh my God. Literally.
The whole cowboy system. We had to like.
Crossover saved my life.
Oh,
maybe saved my marriage because it was like I wasn't like 18 hours of doing this, record, stop, and then I had a duplicator because I gave every kid a tape, so I had to like
one of those,
buy VC. It's like, oh my God, I got a DVD burner sitting right over here that I don't use anymore. But
when I first started Division I, we used to have the you have to put the person's name you sent the film to, and then the next 20 coaches you had to send the film to. So when you got so I put like, all right, we send it to Dartmouth, and then below it would be like. Holy Cross,
right.
Westgate. So when you were done videotaping the film, you got to send it to the next person in line. You know, I send it all the way down the list. It was like a pecking order who you send a film to throughout the year. It was crazy. It was just,
it makes no sense.
Film exchange was unbelievable.
All right, so I'm going to give you a rapid fire, Coach. So this is
all right.
These tend to be one a real quick answer. Okay.
Okay.
What's your favorite brand of basketball? Now, what I mean by brand is the literally physical ball. What ball do you like to use, or does your team use?
Spalding.
And do you like the Spalding?
I do. Yep.
Okay, I do too. We use the Spalding TKF 1000 or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing. Yeah,
I
used the Rock in most of a lot of the Rock at Quinnipiac, and they're okay.
They're okay. I like the feel of the Spalding. I do too. One word to describe your ideal player.
One word. Determined.
Okay. One sporting event. Anywhere in the world.
Final Four.
Yeah, we went. I took my son last year. We saw Virginia. Oh my God. It was like life-changing for him, I think.
Yeah. Awesome.
Favorite pregame meal.
It seems like this is everyone's pregame meal for 10 years, 20 years. Pasta and chicken.
Well, that's good. I had somebody yesterday that was a Mars bar. So,
really?
You never know. Superstition.
Not really. No,
okay.
I don't have those as much.
None. Okay. One skill not being taught.
One skill that's not being taught. I'd say passing.
And how do you teach that?
I think you have to work on different passing techniques. Like, when I was at Assumption, the coach at Assumption, he used to talk on, like ripping the ball, 2-man game, left hand extended pass with a hand on the ball to the end and making that push with the left hand and hitting the guy's outside shoulder. Okay. And I think that was a skill, like ripping it, eyes up, protecting, holding the guy off in a championship and making that left-hand extended pass and then hitting the guy in the right spot. That's a hard thing to do. Most kids would just throw with 2 hands, get the ball deflected. Some guys would, throw it to the inside. So teaching that where to hit the guy and how to have eye contact, it's easier when you're coming back with the right hand and you're making a right-hand extended pass and holding a guy off. But going back to that left side, that's a huge pass. And then I said, then the old pump fake, back door. So now you make that pump fake, and the guy goes back door, stepping across, making that. So having a footwork to make all those passing angles.
I love that. I love that. You know what drives it from a former shooter and a shooter that lives in this house? It just drives me bonkers when you don't give it to me close to my pocket. It's just, swear to God, I can't, you don't want me to shoot. Like, you throw it up here, you don't want me to shoot. That's cool.
We tell our guys not to shoot if they throw a pass at you can't shoot it. Like if you throw a pass at their bottom of their feet or a bad pass, they got to control themselves one dribble, then shoot. You know what I mean? You don't want to take a bad,
it's like,
shot.
Give it to me where I can shoot it,
I don't think people work on skip passes enough. Like,
no,
the importance of like skip pass and hitting a guy in his shooting pocket, making that right elevation and the right. That's a skill you got.
And that's where the girls' game has really changed, because the girls have gotten stronger over the last 20 years, and because just everything, all this stuff. Yeah. But anyway, they are getting to the point where that skip pass now is like that. Their game is changing. Like, you can just see it. It's like, whoa, that skip pass was so hard, three-quarter. Now the girls are getting so much stronger that game is.
LeBron is phenomenal with that. He can make one-handed skip passes and hit guys right in like perfect form, like bang.
Okay, so again, for all the listeners, LeBron, Giannis, all those guys are just not normal human beings.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not normal human
beings. There's 8 billion people that live in the world, and there's one LeBron. So just,
yeah,
if you've ever seen him play in person, he runs like a gazelle, and he's 6'8". It's like, oh my.
His passing with one hand, it's just unbelievable.
I mean, Wesley played for me, plays for the Bucks. He's 6'3", 6'4". He looks like a little boy out there, like size-wise. He's 6'4", and he's built like a tank because he guards LeBron and those guys. He looks like a little boy, like size-wise. He's not width-wise, but it's like height-wise, it's like crazy. They're just, you got to go see those games close in person to see how abnormal they really are. What's one thing you do to relax?
I swim.
Oh, that's good. And do you have a pool at school?
Yes.
Wow. You have a good swim team?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're pretty good?
Yeah,
we have a really good swim team at our school too. I always ask the swimmers, what do you think about? Like down, back, down, back.
Something about getting your mind off it, to be honest. Just getting your mind in a different area.
They do. What they say is they say we just don't think, coach. We just zone out and we sing songs in our head, and it's just like, and it's probably healthier than what we do, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What's one coaching technique you think's important?
Coaching technique that's important. I think connecting. Like how to connect with your players. Like, I think it's important, like, just to make sure the kids believe in, like, especially in this day and age, how to connect with kids. It's hard to connect a kid who's like involved with video games, TikTok, and most of the rappers and stuff. You don't know who they are. And for me to connect with that kid, you kind of got to go a little bit more into the kid's life, and really, because if you don't connect with them, they're not going to play hard for you. They don't believe in you, and I think that's important.
I started a TikTok 30 days ago for the sole purpose that I knew they'd watch it and laugh at me. That's the sole reason I started it. Swear to God.
Yeah.
Teachhoops, if you want to listen to it, TikTok.
I'll have to.
It's just stupid. It's like dad jokes, but I don't care because but that's what I'm missing the most right now. I said this to another person I was doing a podcast. I miss my guys. I miss them coming to my room. I miss seeing them. I miss interacting. It's just different.
That part is huge. I think
it's huge, and that's what it's gonna be hard. There's gonna have to be a lot of repairing to go on.
And I'll tell you, all the great coaches you can go back and see, they all had that connection. The players, they talk about the connection with the coach. It's just, I don't care who it is. You go Bobby Knight, doesn't matter. Like, they all believe in that connection so.
It is. Best player you've seen in person?
Larry Bird.
Were you a Laker or were you a Celtic?
Oh, I was a Celtic.
Okay.
I grew up in Boston, so yeah.
Well, I was telling you, I was talking to a coach from Ireland yesterday, and he's a huge Celtics fan. Obviously, lives in Ireland. He's a huge Celtics fan. And him and I were having this laugh about, because I was a Laker guy. Like,
Hey, Coach, I hope you're enjoying the video. If you are, hit like down below. That helps us be found everywhere. Also, subscribe and then hit the little bell up above, and that will help you get notified every day when we put a new basketball coaching video up every day of the year. It'll help you a ton. And then go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.
People that are our age understand that you were one or the other.
Like, yeah, you had I didn't have much of a choice.
Yeah, but there was like, when you're in the middle of the country, there was like no like.
Yeah, you had a choice.
Either a Laker fan or a Celtics fan. Yeah. There was no like. I like both of them. No, you do. You either like Magic or you like Larry. Like
yeah.
Like,
I mean, you can appreciate the others, but like
you
gotta make a choice.
Oh, I hated McHale. Oh my god, great player, but it's like I would have run him over with my car.
Unbelievable footwork.
Oh yeah, and Parrish. And oh my god, that was the era. Best player of all time.
MJ.
Yeah, he's winning that by about 95%. I'm hoping. I'm wearing my Bucks things today. I'm hoping Milwaukee has the future one, because he gets a jump shot, man.
Special, man.
You're
right. He can never get that.
You forget he's 23.
I know.
Like I know Milwaukee will give him the city of Milwaukee to keep him. Like you can have Milwaukee. Just
wherever you want to go.
Yeah. One thing that helped you become a better coach.
Film.
Yep. That's what and you know what? Again, you spent a lot more time than I have, but you and I have both spent a lot of time watching film. That is the one thing I think some of these young, especially that huddle and all that stuff's doing it for them now.
Yeah.
They're not watching as much film as we had to, because we had to. Like,
you had no choice. You had to break it down the other
right.
way, like you said, rewind, fast forward, rewind, fast forward. So you'd watch one play 10 times.
Right. Sometimes. And I'd be there like, oh my God, it's like 2 a.m. and I've watched like half of a game.
I know. Yeah. So film was, but I tell you, like, that was the biggest thing. I felt so much more confident walking into every practice if you really did the effort stats and broke down film. And the best feeling I had as a coach's assistant up until all the way until I was at Quinnipiac was when you did your scout. It was your scout, and you broke down the film of that other team, and you walked into that and you knew the other team's plays almost as good as that other team,
right,
and what they were going to do, and you could actually affect the game because you knew something about what. I'll tell you right now, that's a feeling. As an assistant, you know, head coach gets all the praise and all that.
Right.
But as an assistant, and it was your scout, like that was like a big part of it, man.
Right.
Like,
I know. And it's like, well, and I tell people I have great assistant coaches, but I turn over my scouting, a lot of it, to my assistants at this point. Yeah. First of all, I don't need to do it anymore.
Right.
And it gives them accountability. Like I come in at the end and they'll go over the scout with me, but I think that's just a great thing for people that are head coaches. What's the best game you've seen in person?
Oof. A good question. In person,
something in the Garden. Nothing in the Garden.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of. I saw one.
Or maybe one you coached.
Yeah, no, I saw a playoff game with the Celtics and the Lakers back in '87. So at the Garden. So that was a pretty good game.
That'd be a pretty good one. Yeah. One word to describe your coaching style.
I guess you have to say that I'm. I guess I'd be intense. I mean, I'm passionate, more intensity, passion, for the game. I'm into it. I'm not sitting down. That's for sure.
Best basketball coach of all time.
I'd have to go with John Wooden.
Yeah. I figured that was going to be your answer. One book you'd recommend.
If you haven't read Jay Bill's Toughness.
Okay.
I think that was good. But the one I said, what was the name of the John Wooden one? I'm trying to think. It's Wooden. It's Is it
the one with him on the picture?
Yeah.
I'll put it in the show notes. I know the one you're talking about. That's a really good one. I know the one you're talking about.
Leadership. Wooden on leadership. Just phenomenal book.
Yeah, that's awesome. Would you leave, or I'm going to give you ask you a couple questions. One of them you already asked, because I think you the shot clock. Would you leave it, change it, or replace it? So shot clock, I think you'd leave it.
Yeah.
What about halves? We play halves.
I leave
halves in Wisconsin.
Yeah, so we play halves too.
Okay.
I'd leave it. I don't think quarters are. I'd rather do halves.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
How long your halves?
18.
Yeah, we do 18 too. Yeah.
The only thing I miss is I wish they gave us an extra timeout like the summer, and if we didn't use it, we lost it.
How many do you get for timeouts?
We have 5.
See, we have 6. We have 4 and 2.
Yeah, we have 5. So I missed that one teaching moment in that first half that I wish I could call one. That's like, okay, hold on, we got to do this. That you get with that first to second quarter thing.
I tend to, my coaches laughed at me, said, you don't take your timeouts to the grave, just so you know. I just want to make sure they all our assistants, because I don't
call them either.
Because my thing is I'm a pressing team, and my whole thing is I want to get the other team tired.
Right.
So if I feel like if I sit there and I call a timeout, I'm giving them a rest.
Yep.
So I want to keep the pace going, keep the pressure on. I want them to call timeout, them to call timeout, them to call that. If I'm calling the timeout, something's wrong.
I never called timeouts. I won a state title in 2011 because I had my timeouts at the end. I swear to God, we triple overtime. They'd score. I'd take a timeout. We'd score. They'd score. They'd free. The only reason I won is because I had timeouts. They're too valuable. I'll tell you something. There's a loose ball. My guys know every loose ball on the floor. We're not calling it. We're not calling it. I'm not wasting one in the first half.
Oh yeah. No, don't do that.
So we discuss it, because how many times have you seen people waste one for 3 minutes into the game? There's a loose ball and the kid dives on it and calls a timeout. It's like, what are you doing? Those things are like gold.
I talk about the same thing about traps. We talk about throwing off a guy's leg. We never try and call the timeout. We talk throw it off the ankle, throw it off, whatever. I'd rather
leave it, change it, or replace it. Summer basketball as it is right now, like last summer, not this summer.
I'd change it.
And how would you change it?
I think it needs to. I think basketball needs to, go back a little bit more to the high school coaches. I think there has to be an emphasis on, high school. And this is nothing against the AAU guys. I think the AAU guys do a great job, and some of them do a great job. And it's great. I run my own AAU program now, so I'm not knocking it. But I really do believe that there has to be a little bit more accountability for the, some of these AAU coaches you're going to get. You just throw them into these situations, and it's all about, the money. It's not about the connection with the kid. It's not about so I'd rather have some events where high school coaches and assistants are more involved, that have accountability and some kind of connection with the kids more, because then it becomes a battle between the AAU coach and the high school coach. Who do you believe in more, and who am I gonna, hey, my high school coach telling me to do this, but I gotta listen to my AU guy because he's giving me sneakers and he's giving me like a trip to Vegas, and
what I've thought too, and this is another change I would love to make, is I think the big schools should have an assistant that their sole responsibility is going out and recruiting high school. They during the season, they can't sit on the bench, they can't go to practice, they can just go out to high schools. They can just go watch practices. They can just do that. That would be, come on. Michigan can afford another assistant, and that's all they do. All they do is recruit. And they build connections with the high school coaches.
And I'll tell you, that's a great thing to talk about, because I as an assistant at Division I for all those years, that was a hard balance. To try and be at your practice, then go catch a game in Philly. I used to be in practice from Quinnipiac. We used to practice from 1 to 3, 1 to 4, right around there. I get in my car at 4:30, drive to Philly 3 hours, see a game, at 7, get back in the car at 9, and come back home at 1, get up in the morning, individual, same thing. It's crazy. So most assistants I can't be doing this every day. So they don't go see kids as much as they should.
They don't go to the high schools anymore.
Yeah, they don't go.
They go to Vegas. They go to Chicago and watch them all. And I don't blame them. I would do the same thing, because they're not working 40-hour weeks. But if you hired somebody that was their sole job, they couldn't go to practice, they couldn't be in day-to-day stuff, they couldn't break film. You would literally have to spell out that you are a recruiter. That's
a great idea.
This is your job, and that building connections, and that you can go out and see high school game. It would be, I just think that would be the answer to.
That's a tough thing, because like I said, not too many college coaches go to high school games anymore. That's and I don't blame them, because it's hard to do.
Right. And the thing is, it's
the head coaches, they don't want to go, how many head coaches, they're like, I don't even need to go to that. You know what I mean? I'll wait to see him in the summer in July. I'll see him in April.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you better be a 5-star recruit if that's
that's the only reason you're going out.
Because someone else is trying to steal him. All right. Any parting words on for coaches that are listening, Coach? What would you do it again?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, like, you know, I think this is great stuff during, you know, this hard times, you know what I mean? Just talking basketball and getting your mind. This was great for me just to get my mind off all the being quarantined and, you know, just to talk hoop. And I think you should, you know, if you're a young coach, just get with someone who loves it and talk hoop as much as you can. And, you know, but talk hoop in the right way, like break it down like this and get some pointers and watch some, you know, some podcasts and some clips of, you know, like basketball and break it down.
So here's what I tell young coaches when they ask me all the time. It's like I said, I don't know if you're a visual person. If you are, go to YouTube, find something, watch film. There's plenty of stuff. Maybe you're a reader. There's plenty of books out there by great people that know more than anything. If not, find them. Everyone should find some mentors. I've had great mentors in my career. I'm sure you've had great mentors that will help you. Like, people want to help other people. I mean, that's the thing is I'll tell you,
What's great about this college business.
Yeah.
A lot, you know, it's a fraternity of coaches trying to help coaches.
Right. Cause we all have been through the thing. So, well, thank you, Coach. I really do appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate it, Steve.
Thanks.
Hey, Coach. So glad you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe and like. Go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.